Good morning, everyone. My name is Tom Reinhold. I'm Deputy Chief of Police. I'd like to thank everyone for taking time out this morning to come to this press conference. I'm going to introduce Chief Walt Miller. He's going to discuss the chain of events that happened overnight on the unit block of Marlborough Avenue. Chief Miller.
Thanks. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Walt Miller. It's W-A-L-T-M-I-L-L-E-R. And as you said, I'm the Chief of Evesham Police Department. I appreciate you all coming today. We just want to give some public information about an incident that happened last night. This morning around 8:30, on April 30th, around 1 a.m., Evesham Police Department were investigating a motor vehicle crash on the side of Taunton Lake Road, which is also in Marlton, New Jersey. At that time, on-scene officers saw a vehicle pass them at a very high rate of speed. It was estimated to be doubling the speed limit, and it appeared that the vehicle had driven in the direction of the on-scene officers. The officers recognized this vehicle from prior police encounters, and they radioed to other officers in an attempt to locate and stop that vehicle. Officers in the area located that suspect vehicle at Willow Bend and Evans Road in Marlton. They attempted to conduct a motor vehicle stop on that vehicle. The vehicle refused to stop and a police pursuit was commenced. Ultimately, the officers in the pursuit felt that the risk to the public and themselves was greater than the necessity at that point to stop the suspect vehicle. The pursuit was terminated. Officers then contacted Municipal Court Judge Karen Kaplan and obtained a warrant for the arrest of the driver, identified as Mark Ferriola of the 100 block of Marlborough Avenue in Marlton. He's a white male, 33 years old. Officers responded to the area of his home. About 2:10 in the morning, officers observed the suspect vehicle pull up to the front of the residence. Officers approached the vehicle. They pulled up behind it, activated their emergency lights in an attempt to summons the operator that he was being detained. The operator refused to comply with any directions the officers gave him. The officers attempted to de-escalate the situation. The vehicle's passenger, Ruth Patton, white female, 42, exited the vehicle, began to walk towards the home. Upon exiting the vehicle, she was yelling violent threats towards police and was uncooperative with their investigation. The officers continued to engage the driver in an attempt to get him to comply with the orders that they were given. The driver continued to refuse. At one point, the driver drove his vehicle forward in the driveway to distance himself from the officers. As soon as he gained that distance, he threw the car in reversed backwards, and maneuvered the vehicle in the direction of two officers that were standing on the side of the road. Fortunately, the officers were able to maneuver themselves out of the way, jump out of the way, and were not struck by the vehicle. The vehicle continued his backwards operation, ultimately crashing into one of the police canine officers' vehicles that was on scene. Inside that vehicle was a police canine Tango. The vehicle then drove across the lawn of his property and a neighboring property, continued down the street, made a U-turn, and then drove at a high rate of speed towards police and crashed again into the police canine vehicle. He backed up his vehicle several more times and continuing to ram the police vehicle with the police canine inside the vehicle. Ultimately, after several crashes into that police canine vehicle, he continued down the street, striking two additional Evesham police vehicles that were parked on the side of the road, unattended, and ultimately crashed into a residence vehicle parked down the road that was also unoccupied. All three of those vehicles also sustained damage. When he crashed into the suspect vehicle, his vehicle was now inoperable. Officers again attempted to engage him. He refused to comply with their orders. They ultimately broke the vehicle's window, removed him from the vehicle, and took him into custody. He was transported to Cooper Hospital for treatment. He was treated and released. He was brought back to the Evesham Police Department, where he was processed. Judge Terrence Cook from the Burlington County Superior Court reviewed the matter and issued several criminal counts against Mr. Ferriola. The first count is attempted murder, and two counts. Both are crimes of the first degree. Aggravated assault on police, 2 counts. crime of the third degree. Eluding, 2 counts, both crimes of the third degree. Criminal mischief for the damage to the vehicles, 4 counts, all crimes of the fourth degree. And injuring a police canine, 1 count, a crime of the fourth degree. The continued investigation had determined that Ferriola and Patton earlier in the evening forged a plan to engage Evesham police officers for the purpose of killing 2 police officers. The manifestation of the actions that we witnessed was a carrying out of that plan. Additionally, Ruth Patton has been charged with terroristic threats, a crime of the third degree, and obstruction of justice, a crime of the fourth degree. We believe that the plan was in retribution to ongoing enforcement actions that have been taken at the Ferriola home against both Mr. Ferriola and Ms. Patton. All these complaints were issued again by Superior Court Judge Terrence Cook through guidance from the Burlington County Prosecutor's Office. The victim officers, their names are being withheld at this time. One is a 26-year-old female officer with 3 years of experience. The other is a 27-year-old male officer with 5 years of experience. Both were treated and have no significant injuries. Both Ferriola and Patton are in the process right now of being committed to the Burlington County Jail and are en route there at this time. They'll be housed at Burlington County Jail pending a detention hearing into this matter. I watched the video from last night. We were lucky. This could have been really, really bad. If those officers did not get out of the way as they did, the intent of Mr. Ferriola would have been carried out and we would have been here for a completely different matter. So I'm very grateful that they were able to get out of the way, that at the end of this, no one was seriously injured, and our hope is that Mr. Ferriola and Mrs. Patton will be held accountable for their violations. Any questions?
You mentioned it felt like a planned attack. Was that part of where they saw the officers at the crash? Is that when that plan was hatched?
No, the plan was hatched earlier in the evening before contact with police.
Were the 2 officers that the suspect backed up into the same 2 officers you had just mentioned who were the targets?
That is correct. The 2 officers that were able to get away, they were the victim officers that I had named, the 26 and 27-year-old officers.
And they had previously schemed to try and injure those officers, kill them?
Their plan wasn't identify 2 specific officers. Their plan was just to kill 2 Evesham police officers, whoever they were able to encounter that night. Yes.
Was the crash part of that plan, or was it just opportunity?
Their plan to kill was the use of the vehicle.
Okay.
Yes.
According to neighbors, this is not the first incident that neighbors have had with this couple and that even police have had. They mentioned that in December there was an incident where police blocked Mr. Ariola off in his driveway. Was this the inciting incident for this event?
There's been numerous police contacts. I really can't go into the details of that one right now just because it could interfere with the prosecution of this matter, but those records are available if you guys...
How many times have neighbors reported?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, ballpark, 10, 15?
I wouldn't even venture a guess.
Would you be able to give an estimate of police contacts, number of police contacts?
Over time, it's been a lot. I can't say...
How many years?
Without the records in front, I don't know. It's been I don't know, it's been years.
At least a year.
About a year, yeah.
How was Tango?
Being treated right now at a local veterinary hospital. Every indication is that he's going to be okay.
Could you explain how he was injured or how his canine was injured?
The dog is being checked. There's no visible signs of injury, just precautionary at this point, just because the vehicle that he was in was struck at high speed 4 times. So to make sure he's okay.
Can you speak to the rarity of a situation like this where you have people plotting specifically to go out and kill officers?
Oh, it's scary. In our job, we come into this knowing that we're going to encounter people that, have ill will towards police or, don't have the best interests of society or law enforcement. And when it manifests itself, it's a grim reminder of the dangers that officers face every day. Fortunately, they handled themselves really well. This could have This could have resulted in a significant police use of force. It could have resulted in significant injury to these officers, and they performed flawlessly. And I think we had a little luck on our side too.
Given this couple's history, did that impact how many police officers you sent out?
I don't know specifically, but in general terms, yes, it would. Yeah, we would use additional caution.
And what is their relationship?
I couldn't hear.
What is their relationship?
The two that were arrested,
Yeah.
they're husband and wife. They don't have the same last name.
Got it. And
Yes.
will you be releasing the video, whether it was dash cam or body cam?
We can't release video just because of New Jersey rules with evidence, because it will be used in prosecution against them, could taint a future trial. So any request for that would have to go through the prosecutor's office, and most likely would not be released until following this adjudication of the matters.
Can you say whether it was caught on dash cam, body cam? Is there a variety of?
Variety of video, yeah.
And the use of force, can you explain what types of force were used during the incident?
The officers out there were confronted with a potential deadly force situation, and they were making those decisions very quickly. Fortunately, it didn't work out like that, but there was justification there for.
I'm talking like OC spray, batons, like what types of force?
Oh yeah, my biggest concern was a deadly force situation.
Could you generally talk about the reason for police contacts over this last year? And did they ever end up in charges?
There have been prior charges out there, both local charges as well as charges that have been sent to the county prosecutor's office for indictment. Yes.
Can you generally talk about why police were called?
I can't, just because we're here for the specific, but those records are available for you guys.
How did you find out that they had been plotting to call police?
Follow-up interviews.
With neighbors or with them?
Can't get into that, but yes, interviews.
Some of the neighbors out in the lobby
Mhm.
discussed potential explosive devices, things like fertilizer, propane, fuel tanks. Can you speak to that? Was there stuff pulled from the home? Were there concerns about explosives?
There's been issues there with fireworks in the past. The fertilizer and things that they describe are not the grade of fertilizer that would be used in explosive material. Any others?
The two officers you
Mhm.
had mentioned, what is their current situation? Are they on leave or?
No, they're home. They're home resting.
Okay.
We anticipate they'll return to work when they're ready. Yep.
And just to go through it again, so
Mhm.
there was the crash that was being investigated initially. The suspects attempted to ram officers at that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a pursuit. How
Mhm.
long was that? How long did that pursuit last, and about how long between the initial crash and that pursuit?
The pursuit from Willow Bend and Evans was only a short distance.
Okay.
Yeah, very short distance. One of the reasons for that is the pursuit policy for the state. Once I know who the suspect is, the continued and prolonged pursuit endangers the public with no need. So we terminated the pursuit and then resumed at the home to await his return.
Was the crash in order to lure you in? Or?
No, the original crash had nothing to do with them. It was just they came by at that point, saw officers, and started their plan.
Were they following you guys?
That we don't know. Yeah,
Do you believe they intentionally led you to their home after that initial incident?
that I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to get the timeline right, 1 a.m. the initial crash.
Mhm.
When did officers return to the residence with that warrant?
2:10. Well, we returned there prior to that. He returned home at 2:10. So about an hour and 10 minutes later, we had the warrant in hand, and we were waiting for him to return, and that's when he returned.
At 2:10 in the morning.
2:10 a.m. Yes,
If your officers were already on scene, waiting
Right.
for the execution of the warrant.
correct. We're waiting for him to return. Yes.
And how many canines are in the department?
We have right now we have 5, but we have one that's retiring soon, so we'll return to 4.
How do you handle a situation where there's sort of going back off of one of the questions answered, where there's been there have been multiple incidents.
Mhm.
Just according to neighbors, there was a walk off with police in
Mhm.
December, and knowing all of this, and then finding out that there was this How do you handle going into situations like that? How often do you encounter, like, you know, if someone's plotting against police, is it like, have you typically had to stay, like, are you guys typically aware of this? Like, have you had, like, incidents with these people before? Like, yeah, how do you go into a situation like that?
Well, I mean, not really 100% sure your question, but we've had prior contacts. That was one of the mechanisms that is used to identify him early on in this investigation, as being the person in the pursuit and the person that drove by the officers earlier in the evening. And with anything, we look at situations and try to leverage the safety of our officers. So whether it's this incident or any others, prior to our response, prior to our planning for response, we leverage the safety of our officers as a primary function.